Hi Reddit. My name's Matthew. I'm 42, and this story happened 4 years ago. At the time, I thought I had a decent life. Not perfect, but solid. Steady. Married for 6 years. Two stepkids from a previous relationship who I treated like my own. And one new face in the house. A 10-year-old girl my wife called her niece. Her name was Emily. Cute kid. Quiet. Big eyes, always reading. Showed up suddenly one summer while I was away for work. When I got back, my wife, let's call her Rachel, told me Emily's mom was going through a rough time and needed help. It's temporary, she said. Just a few weeks. Sure. Why not? I believed her. That was mistake number one. Emily moved into the guest room. No problem. I worked long hours, traveled often, and honestly didn't ask many questions. Rachel handled most of the house stuff. She always had stories ready. Little updates from her sister, Emily's school reports, dentist appointments. I didn't push. I trusted her. But looking back, I should have noticed the cracks. Emily wasn't just quiet. She was watchful, careful around me in a way that didn't make sense for a kid staying temporarily with her aunt and uncle. She never called Rachel aunt. Not once. She always just said Rachel. That's it. One night, I asked her, "So, how's your mom doing?" She shrugged. I haven't talked to her in a while. Weird. I brought it up to Rachel later. She brushed it off quickly. She's a kid. She doesn't understand the situation. Don't overthink it. I'll let it go. That was mistake number two. Weeks turned into months. And Emily never left. There was no talk of her mom anymore. No check-ins. No updates. Just silence. And every time I asked, Rachel got defensive. Said things like, "You're acting paranoid." Or, "Why can't you just let me help my family without suspicion?" Then one night, Emily had a nightmare. It was late. She started screaming from her room. I ran in before Rachel could get there, sat on the edge of her bed, tried to calm her down. And that's when she said it. Through sobs, she mumbled, "I want my real dad." I froze. I said, "Emily, I thought your dad wasn't around." She looked confused, exhausted. "You're not him." Before I could speak, Rachel came flying into the room, wrapped her arms around Emily, and gave me a look I'll never forget. A mix of panic and guilt. That was the first moment I knew. Something was very wrong. I didn't sleep that night. Rachel acted like nothing happened. She put Emily back to bed, whispered something to her I couldn't hear, then came out of the room like a switch had flipped. Calm, robotic. "She was just confused," she said, brushing past me. "She's half asleep, Matthew." I nodded, but something in me had already shifted. I couldn't unhear it. "You're not him." I laid in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying every conversation, every offhand comment, every weird moment that I'd ignored for the sake of peace. There were a lot of them. The next morning, Rachel left early, said she had errands to run. I waited until she was out the door. Then I started searching, not like a maniac, just methodically. Opened drawers, looked through her office files, checked the folders she kept for bills and school stuff. Normal stuff, right? Wrong. In the back of a filing cabinet, misfiled behind a stack of unrelated tax forms, I found a birth certificate. Emily's. Only, it didn't list her mom as Rachel's sister. It listed Rachel as the mother. Father not listed. My hand started shaking. I scanned the rest. Date of birth. Hospital. Doctor's name. It all checked out. Rachel wasn't Emily's aunt. She was her mother. I sat down hard on the edge of the couch. My whole body went cold. That kid had been living in my house, calling me by my first name, being fed lies every single day, just like me. And Rachel? She'd built a wall of fiction so carefully that I hadn't seen the bricks stacking up. When she got home later that day, I didn't say a word. I watched her, watched how easily she smiled, asked about my day, made dinner like nothing was burning under the surface. I needed more, so I did something I never thought I'd do. I went through her phone. It wasn't locked. She trusted me, which is funny, considering how little she deserved mine. I didn't even have to dig deep. There was a string of messages to a number not saved in her contacts. Just a blank number. The thread went back months. Some short, some long. But it was all there. Photos of Emily. Updates on her school. Conversations about when he could see her again. Messages like, "She keeps asking about you. I'm trying my best, but I can't keep dodging questions forever." One reply, You promised me this wouldn't happen if you stayed with him. I didn't breathe. I didn't blink. That's when I knew this wasn't just about a child. This was about a second life. And Rachel had been living it behind my back, under my roof, with his daughter. I didn't confront her. Not yet. That would have been emotional, messy, and Rachel was too good at flipping the narrative. I'd seen it before in small arguments. The way she twisted tone, flipped guilt, played fragile. If I came at her angry, she'd act like the victim. No, this time, I'd be the one in control. I started collecting screenshots of every message thread between her and the mystery number. I forwarded them to a hidden email account I'd made that morning. I photographed the birth certificate and stored it on a USB drive, separate from anything on my phone or computer. That same day, I made an appointment with a divorce attorney. Didn't tell anyone, not even my brother, who'd been my sounding board through everything else in life. I needed this airtight. The attorney didn't flinch when I laid it all out. Birth certificate, messages, timeline, the whole fake niece story. When I finished, she leaned back and said, "You're not angry. You're tactical. That's good." I wasn't sure whether to be proud or sick. She advised me to wait, not to drop the bomb until every legal thread was in place. Get your finances separated. Lock down your accounts. Don't give her time to twist this. I nodded. Done. Meanwhile, at home, I played the game. I smiled. I cleaned up dinner. I offered to drive Emily to school some mornings. And Rachel? She stayed nervous. Not openly, but it was there. The way her eyes lingered when she looked at me. The way she checked her phone in another room now. She could feel the shift. Then, about a week later, I got my final piece. I hired a private investigator. Small time, discreet. Just needed to confirm what I already suspected, the identity of the man behind that unsaved number. Took him 3 days. His name was Derek, mid-40s, divorced, local contractor, lives one town over. But here's what stopped me cold. Derek used to work with Rachel. Same office. 3 years ago. I remember the name. She'd mentioned him once, back when we first started dating. That guy in marketing who hits on everyone. She left that job shortly after we got serious. Now I knew why. She hadn't just hidden child. She'd hidden him. And all this time, while I was playing stepdad, building savings, planning for a future, she'd been quietly maintaining a family that didn't include me. But now, she was out of places to hide. I picked a Sunday. No distractions. No work. No errands. Just us at home, in the quiet. Rachel was making breakfast. Humming some song like this was just another day. Emily was in her room, watching cartoons. The smell of pancakes filled the kitchen. I sat at the table with a cup of coffee and said, "We need to talk." She paused, just for a second, then smiled. "Okay, what's up?" I slid the birth certificate across the table. Face down. Flip it over. She looked at it like it was a joke. Then she turned it over. I watched her eyes scan the document. Watched the blood drain from her face. She didn't speak. Didn't blink. "I found it in your filing cabinet," I said calmly. "Filed under taxes. Not exactly where people keep their niece's paperwork." Still nothing. Her hands trembled just slightly. Then, finally, her voice. "That's not what it looks like." I laughed. "Just once." "Really? Because it looks a lot like you've been raising your daughter in this house, lying to me about who she is, and feeding me a story about some non-existent sister with issues." She didn't respond, so I kept going. "I found the texts, Rachel. Every one of them. You and Derek. The updates, the photos, the conversations about when he could see her, not if. That broke her." "Okay," she snapped, voice cracking. "Yes, she's mine. She's Derek's. But I had no choice." I leaned forward. "You had every choice. You just didn't want to lose the lifestyle, the stability, me paying the bills while you ran your little side life on the weekends. It wasn't like that. It was exactly like that." She slumped into the chair like the weight of the lie had finally hit her. "You don't understand," she muttered. "I couldn't raise her alone. Derek was never stable. I didn't think you'd stay if I told you." I stared at her. Cold. "You were right." Then I reached into the folder beside me, pulled out the divorce papers. Her name, my name, everything filled in, just missing her signature. I slid them across the table. She looked up at me with wide, wet eyes. "Matthew, please. No more lies. No more games. I'm not your cover. I'm not your ATM. And I'm not your backup plan. She opened her mouth to speak, but Emily's voice rang out from the hallway. Mom, I'm hungry. And just like that, the illusion shattered. Mom, not Aunt Rachel. Not her. Mom. Rachel turned pale, frozen, and I stood up, walked past her, and said over my shoulder, "You can explain to her who I really am, because I'm done pretending." She didn't follow me. I went straight to the guest room, packed a bag, and left. No yelling, no final blow-up, just quiet. On my way out, I looked at Emily once, sitting on the couch, holding a bowl of cereal, watching cartoons like nothing had changed. But I knew it would. Soon. That night, I stayed at my brother's place. Told him everything. He just shook his head. Man, she really fooled everyone. And she did. Friends, family, co-workers. They all thought Rachel was the sweet, steady one. The stable wife. The calm partner. None of them knew the truth. Until I told them. The next week was a blur of paperwork and phone calls. I froze joint accounts. Changed passwords. Moved half the money to a legal hold account until the divorce was processed. My lawyer moved fast. Rachel tried to text, then call, then email. First it was, "We can work through this." Then, "You're ruining Emily's life." And finally, "You're a coward for walking away." I didn't answer once. I sent everything through my attorney. No emotion, no explanations, just facts. Then it started, the unraveling. First, her sister reached out. The real one, who, by the way, lived 3 states away and hadn't spoken to Rachel in over a year. "Wait, she told you Emily was mine." I sent her a photo of the birth certificate. She replied with 2 words. Holy hell. Then her mom found out. Then her best friend. One by one, the people she used to lean on started stepping back. Not because I told them to, but because Rachel had built a lie so big it didn't collapse. It imploded. And Emily? I found out through a mutual friend that Rachel had pulled her out of school for a week. Said it was stress-related. I don't blame the kid. She didn't ask for any of this. But I wasn't going to be guilt-tripped for walking away from a world built entirely on fiction. One night, 2 weeks after I left, Rachel showed up at my brother's place. Stood at the front door, mascara running, no makeup, holding a thick envelope. "I signed the papers," she said. I opened the envelope. She had. All of them. Then she said something that almost sounded sincere. She deserves a real dad. I looked her dead in the eye. She deserved the truth. And so did I. She nodded. Didn't cry. Didn't beg. Just turned around and left. That was the last time I ever saw her. A month after the divorce was finalized, I got a letter in the mail. No return address. Just my name, handwritten in shaky ink. Inside, a note. From Emily. It wasn't long. Just a few lines in pencil. "I miss you. I don't understand what happened. Mom won't talk about it. You were nice to me. Please don't hate me." I sat on the edge of my bed and just stared at it. Emily was innocent. She didn't choose any of this. She didn't lie. She didn't play games. She just got caught in the crossfire. I didn't know what to do, so I waited, thought it over, talked to my therapist, talked to my brother. Finally, I sent a message to Rachel through my lawyer. Emily wrote to me. I want to respond. I think she deserves at least one honest conversation. If you block this, I'll walk away forever. But this isn't about you anymore. A week later, I got a reply. 1 line. Fine. 1 hour. Neutral place. You tell her the truth. Then we're done. I agreed. We met at a public library. Quiet. Safe. Neutral. Emily looked older than I remembered. Not physically, but in the eyes. Like she'd been forced to grow up in a matter of weeks. She smiled when she saw me. "Hi," she said, shy. "Hey, kiddo." We sat at a table near the back. Rachel waited in her car outside. And then, I told her everything. I kept it simple, gentle, honest. "Emily, I'm not your dad. I thought I was for a while, because your mom told me something that wasn't true. But you're not my niece either. You're her daughter. And your real dad's name is Derek." She didn't cry. She just sat there, blinking, tried to absorb it all. "I don't blame you," she said quietly. I knew something was weird. Nobody would tell me anything. I just want to know why everything changed." I nodded. "It wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. You deserve the truth, even if it hurts." She picked at the edge of the table. "Can I still talk to you sometimes?" That broke something in me. I didn't expect it. I'd built a wall. I told myself I was done. But sitting across from her, I realized something. I had cared. Deeply. And part of me still did. Maybe, I said. Let's take things one step at a time, okay? She smiled. Just a little. And in that moment, I knew not every broken thing stays broken forever. A few weeks passed. Things were calm. Emily and I didn't talk much, just a short email now and then. She sent me a drawing of a dog wearing a crown. Said it reminded her of me because you always seemed like you were trying to protect people. That one stayed on my fridge for months. Meanwhile, Rachel? She tried to move on like nothing happened. I heard through mutual friends that she'd been telling people I had abandoned her and the child, spinning it like I couldn't handle the pressure of fatherhood. No mention of Derek. No mention of the lies. No mention of the birth certificate. I stayed quiet because I knew something she didn't. Derek had filed for custody. My attorney tipped me off. Apparently, Derek decided it was time to stop hiding too. Maybe guilt, maybe pride, maybe just a need to finally step up. Either way, he'd filed a petition claiming Rachel had withheld parental rights, falsified family details, and emotionally manipulated both him and Emily for years. The court took it seriously. Rachel was served. The fallout was immediate. She tried to spin it, of course. Claimed she did what was best for the child. But the judge didn't care much for that line, especially after Derek showed the text messages. The ones where she told him to stay away and not confuse the kid. I wasn't involved in the case, legally speaking, but I showed up once. Sat quietly in the back of the courtroom. Rachel saw me. She looked like a ghost. Makeup barely on, hair pulled back in a lazy knot. The same woman who used to spend an hour getting ready to go to brunch looked like she hadn't slept in days. She didn't say a word to me. She knew she couldn't. A few days later, Emily sent me another email. They're making me stay with him for a while. I don't really know him, but he's trying. He asked me what my favorite movie was, and he actually watched it with me. I wrote back, "That's good. It's okay to feel weird about it. Just go slow, one day at a time." And that was that. No drama, no revenge, just justice. The lie Rachel built collapsed, not because I destroyed her, but because eventually lies destroy themselves. And once they fall, the people who built them are left standing in the wreckage alone. After Rachel's court battle, life finally slowed down. No more calls from lawyers. No cryptic emails. No more secrets hovering like fog in my house. Just silence. But this time it felt clean. I got back into routine, work, gym, a few beers with my brother on weekends. I started reading again, cooking more, sleeping better. It wasn't glamorous, but it was real, and I hadn't felt real in a long time. Then one afternoon, at a bookstore of all places, I met her. Natalie. She bumped into me in the psychology section. Literally. Dropped her bag, muttered an apology, and we both reached for the same book. Emotional Resilience After Toxic Relationships. We looked at each other and just kind of laughed. "I guess we're both trying to figure things out," she said. We talked. 10 minutes turned into 30. I told her a little, not the whole saga, just that I was recently divorced and taking things slow. She nodded. Same here. Mine cheated, denied it, then confessed because he said guilt was eating him alive. Like that made it better. She had that same look I'd seen in my own mirror months ago, tired but trying. We exchanged numbers. No pressure. A week later, we had coffee, then lunch, then a walk through the park. We didn't jump into anything. No racing toward some romantic climax. It was slow, easy, honest. That word, honest, mattered more to me than I realized. Natalie didn't pretend. She didn't fake smile her way through awkward silences. If something felt off, she said it. If she was unsure, she admitted it. And after everything I'd lived through, that kind of simplicity felt revolutionary. One evening, as we sat on a bench watching ducks fight over breadcrumbs, she asked, "Do you think you'll ever want to be a dad?" Again, after everything. I didn't answer right away. Then I said, "If it's real this time, if it's built on truth, yeah, I think I would." She nodded. Same. No promises. No pressure. Just two people carrying scars and learning how to walk again. Later that night, Emily emailed me. "Dad took me to a museum today. We saw a giant dinosaur skeleton. He said I can name it. I picked Matthew. Is that okay?" I smiled. That's perfect, I replied, because even though I wasn't her father by blood, even though everything started with a lie, somewhere in all the wreckage, a piece of me still mattered to her. And maybe that was enough. I never thought healing would feel like nothing. Not joy, not victory, just a quiet kind of stillness. Like one day you realize you're not checking your phone for drama. You're not replaying old conversations in your head. You're not bracing for the next hit. You're just living. That's where I was. Natalie and I kept seeing each other. We weren't rushing into anything, but it was clear we were building something. Something real. We started spending weekends together. Grocery runs turned into cooking experiments. Late-night movies turned into quiet, honest conversations about everything. Family, disappointment, what we'd both lost, and what we still hope to find. One Saturday morning, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I let go to voicemail. It was Rachel. Her voice was shaky, but not manipulative this time. Just tired. Hi, I know you don't want to hear from me. I just thought you should know. Emily asked about you again. I told her I don't know what you're comfortable with, but she keeps bringing you up. That's all. Take care. I stared at the screen. I hadn't seen or spoken to Rachel in months. I hadn't missed her. But that name, Emily, it still hit somewhere soft. I waited a day. Then I replied, if Emily wants to talk, I'm okay with that. But this isn't about you and me. It never will be again. She answered within minutes. Understood. Thank you. The next day, I got an email. It was from Emily's school account. She had written a short story about a man who used to be a knight, but now protects people in real life by telling them the truth. I didn't cry. I'm not that type. But something cracked open, something I thought had sealed shut long ago. I printed the story and pinned it to my corkboard above my desk. Later that week, Natalie came over. She saw the page, read it quietly, then looked at me. You helped her. Even if everything else was a lie, that wasn't. I nodded. Then I looked at her, this woman who'd been through her own hell and still chose to trust again, and said something I hadn't said to anyone in a long time. I think I'm ready. Ready for what? She asked. To start over. Really start over. From zero. No shadows. No lies. Just life. She smiled. I've got room for that too. We clinked coffee mugs. And in that moment, I realized something. It's not revenge that frees you. It's clarity. The kind you earn when you stop chasing justice and start choosing peace. 3 years later, I don't tell this story often. Not because I'm ashamed. Not because it still hurts. But because I've moved past it. And most days, I don't feel the need to revisit the ruins I once lived in. But every now and then, something brings it back. A smell. A song. A photograph that sneaks through a backup folder. Or an email, like the one I got last week. From Emily. She's 13 now. She wrote, I know you weren't my real dad, but you were real to me. You didn't lie to me. You didn't leave me. Not really. I just wanted you to know that I'm okay. And I hope you are too. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I wrote back, I'm proud of you. And I always will be, no matter what. Because the truth is, even in the middle of all the lies, even inside that mess Rachel made, Emily was the only real thing that ever came out of it. And she deserved better than the silence I left behind. Natalie and I are married now. It's quiet, peaceful, not flashy. Just two people who've already lost too much to take each other for granted. We adopted a rescue dog named Benson. We laugh more than we talk about the past. And when we do talk about the past, it's not with bitterness, it's with perspective. One night, she asked me, do you regret it? Any of it? I thought about it. No, I said, because that version of me, the man who kept ignoring the red flags, who let himself get manipulated because it was easier than confrontation, he needed to burn. She smiled. And who are you now? I shrugged. Just a guy who tells the truth. Even when it's messy. That's what this whole story taught me. The people who lie don't fear the truth. They fear the consequences of someone else finally telling it. Rachel feared that. So she buried it. Hid it behind fake titles like niece, behind partial stories and emotional guilt trips. But the truth doesn't stay buried forever. Eventually, it claws its way to the surface. And when it does, the ones who held the shovel are the first to get buried by it. So, to whoever's reading this, if something feels off, trust that instinct. If someone makes you feel crazy for asking simple questions, ask louder. And if you ever catch someone lying to protect a lie, walk. Don't run. Don't scream. Just walk. Because nothing is heavier than carrying a truth someone else refused to live in. And nothing is lighter than walking away with your eyes open.